Well, the second lieutenants are at it again, winning the war with a fountain pen. Sound off, left, right, left.
From a young second lieutenant greeted with an unflattering cadence from a group of enlisted men to working on a program called Apollo, Sam Romano has done a lot in his life. But his memories go back to the dark days of World War II.
I'll tell you what somebody told me one time. They said, you know, if you talk to Sam Romano for 10 minutes, you're going to hear about space, you're going to hear about Army, and you're going to hear about the greatest generation.
They have been called members of the greatest generation, and their sacrifice is part of what we remember this Memorial Day weekend. Mr. Romano wants a special day set aside for the men and women who all helped win when the world was at war.
I am proposing a special holiday or some kind of special event to be celebrated every year across our great nation to honor those who I believe to be our greatest generation.
Sam was born in Birmingham, graduated from Auburn, and became a member of the Army Corps of Engineers, building landing strips in the British West Indies, supporting Air Force planes, helping construct radar installations to track rockets launched from a place called Cape Canaveral. It was the beginning of the U.S. space program. Eventually, he wound up in Huntsville, working on the computers which would help take men to the moon.
I got on up at Marshall Space Flight Center with Computer Sciences Corporation, and they were building, at that time, the Saturn V moon rocket.
Although he proudly wears the coat, which harkens back to his days in Huntsville, Mr. Romano no longer goes on missions for the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, but on his own helps educate a new generation about the greatest generation.
And they are why we have our freedom and quality of life today. And young people need to know that and appreciate it, and they don't because nobody's teaching them.
As we pause this Memorial Day weekend to remember the servicemen and women who gave what Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion, Mr. Romano wants us to remember one special group. He still calls them the greatest generation, and many of them were absolutely Alabama.